So that is why. All right, we are live on the video streams. So let's do this. Podcasters. Today, hold on. I'm gonna stop real quick. Sorry, we're gonna start over just because Ralph, it was a little loud, and I felt like I was gonna be yelling over on top of it. You didn't think so, Dr?
Yeah, I couldn't hear you at all, Mark.
You couldn't hear me.
No, it
But
was
you can hear, oh, because the music
Ralph.
is drowning me out. Ralph, I'm gonna do the music on my end. Hey, Clubhouse, you're not gonna hear the music. I'm gonna but don't worry, because we're capturing it here on the recording. Here we go. Good morning, podcasters. Today is Wednesday, June 3rd. 2026, and today it's our podcast news and comment edition. As podcasting's identity crisis continues, we'll explore video sustainability, AI's impact on listener value, and who's trying to redefine podcasting behind the scenes. So if you're listening live on Clubhouse, hit the share button, top right-hand side of the screen, and share it however Clubhouse lets you. And if you're catching us via podcast, YouTube, etc., please share this with a fellow podcaster. Now give us about 30 seconds and we'll get things rolling. Thanks for being here. The Podcasting Morning Chat is powered by Ironic Media, helping podcasters launch, polish, and grow great shows. And by Content Creators Accountant, helping creators build real business behind their content. Good morning again, Podcasting Morning Show. Thank you so much for being here. I am your host, Mark Ronick, and currently on stage with me, my co-hosts, we have Ralph Estep, Dr. Fay, Sid Meadows, BC Babbles, and also, I believe, we've got on stage from the audience, Dan Schultz, Tide Tutoring, and also DJ Rez has joined us. It's been a minute since we've had you here, Rez. Good to see you as well, and thank you all for being here today. Before we dive into all the headlines around the world of podcasting, I want to remind you that if you'd like your podcast featured on the Podcasting Morning Show, submit a 60-second clip about your show at podcastingmorningshow.com/spotlight. If we select your 60-second clip, we'll play it on a future episode, share what stood out, and obviously introduce your show to our entire community of podcasters and creators. So again, all you got to do is go to podcastingmorningshow.com/spotlight. You can fill out the quick form, include an audio or video clip. Again, try to keep it to 60 seconds, and we would love for it to be you sharing about your show with us, as opposed to just playing a random clip from one of your episodes, because we really want to get to know you and your show with our community. So do that today. Thank you in advance. All right, Ralph, hit the news music, please. All right, so we're going to dive into the news. And yes, normally I don't ask Ralph to hit every button for every sound effect, but I am remote today from Atlantic City, New Jersey. And we have, through trial and error, discovered that it's easiest, for whatever reason, my sounds aren't coming through when I'm playing them to our Clubhouse community. So Ralph is leading the charge here. So here's how I like to start our news and comment with some podcast data for you. This is the active podcasts in the entire world of podcasting. And when I say active, this is a helpful number to understand the amount of podcasts being created. And that number is based on the total number of these active podcasts. These are podcasts that are still being updated and therefore actively marketing themselves. If you're making podcast episodes, you might consider this number to be your competition rather than the big overall 4.6 million podcasts that just simply exist out there, but don't necessarily do anything to keep those podcasts going. So, the new episodes in the last week that are considered active, the new the podcasts that are considered active over the past week, 581,467, which is up 3.4% from the previous week. And if you're curious about the last 30 days, 2.3 million and change are considered active podcasts. That's down 2.3% from the previous month. Okay, with that, we're going to go roll into DR's two top 5 lists. DR, I think we're starting with business podcasts.
Yeah. Hey, good morning, everyone. So, let's see. We're going to start with Apple's business podcast, the top 5. Okay. So, number 5 is Money Rehab with Nicole Appen. Number 4 is The Ramsey Show. Of course, that's Dave Ramsey. Number 3 is Real AF with Andy Frizella. Number 2 is Unblinded with Sean. Oh, wow, I did a terrible job on that one. Okay, start that
That's okay.
timpani again.
Yeah, there it is.
Number 2 is Unblinded with Sean Callagy, and number 1 is is Digital Social Hour with Sean Kelly.
Real AF Andy Frizella. The only reason why I'm pointing that out is because although I don't really follow him regularly, I will say that he was a big influence in my life because he is the creator of the 75 Hard program.
Oh,
And I did that back in late 2021, 75 days in a row of the 5 critical tasks, drinking a gallon of water a day, reading at least
oh,
10 pages of a book, nonfiction,
wow.
2 workouts a day, 45 minutes each, a minimum, and one must be outside, rain or shine. You have to take a picture of yourself as well every day,
Wow.
like a progress picture. And there's one more that's just escaped me, and I'm embarrassed that it escaped me. But nonetheless, an amazing program. He's built an entire huge community from this 75 Hard program, and
Wow.
it is definitely a life-changing experience for sure. It really shows you that you can do hard things, and despite all the things that goes on in your life, if you commit to something and really commit to it for yourself, you'd be amazed at what you can accomplish. So if you're
Wow. We
interested in that, let me know more. Let me know, and I'll share more with you about
I am not interested in changing my life like that. That is that is for sure. Okay, so the next chart is from it's Spotify's health and fitness, and I want you to listen to number 5 and number 4
that. Okay.
because they are all about sleep. Okay.
Okay.
So, number 5 is sleep escape, sleep meditation and hypnosis. Number 4 is 8 hours sleep music. Number 3, okay, On Purpose with Jay Shetty. Number 2 is the Dr. John Deloney Show. And the number 1 show is Huberman's Lab. Oh, Huberman Lab. Sorry, there's no S on that.
Yes.
Whatevs.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, cool. Awesome. Another all good shows there for sure, and Huberman Lab, definitely one that I check in on
But isn't
occasion.
it
Great stuff.
interesting? The top 5, 2 of them are about sleep.
Yeah, that
I
is
mean,
interesting. Yeah, I mean, look, we're in a stressed out society, so I'm not surprised that people are looking for sleeping solutions. DR, you and I deal with with sleeping challenges for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, Ralph, give me some news music. Ralph knows the show really well because he had his finger on the button ready to go before I didn't even need to cue him. Let's get into some events around the world of podcasting. First, a company called Coleman Insights is putting podcast trailers under the microscope with a new research driven webinar. Let me say that again, webinar called
Words are hard in the
Podcast.
morning.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
say it on.
unfortunately, I don't have that queued up today because I changed my Rodecaster, so I apologize ahead of time.
Well, good. I'm glad. The webinar is called Podcast Trailers, a playbook for producing successful teasers. It's happening today, June 3rd at 1 p.m. Eastern. I'll share the link with you in just a moment, and it will be in the show notes. I'm not sure if it'll make it'll publish in time. Nonetheless, let me tell you about this.
I
The
signed up for
session,
it.
you did? Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
I
Okay.
did.
The session, created with Nova Entertainment, Pantheon Media, and Earbuds Podcast Collective, is based on a study of 500 US podcasts or podcast listeners and looks at what people actually remember from trailers, which create choices, grab attention, and what makes someone more likely to hit play. They'll break down 4 real podcast trailers to show what works, what flops, and why. Translation for podcasters: your trailer may be doing a lot more heavy lifting than you think, and if it sounds like an afterthought, your audience may treat your whole show the same way. I will share this here right now in case you're interested, and I do think that this could be helpful. Look, I don't know what they've put together, so your guess is as good as mine, but the concept makes a lot of sense, especially these days, because I think that a lot of us independent DIY podcasters are putting out average trailers. And I'm not saying everyone, so don't get offended. I might not be talking about you specifically, but look, I do this too, right? Like, I just put out clips from the show, and sometimes those may serve well and may hit the right people and hit the right spot, but at the same time, there's so many of them out there that I think that it becomes a little bit noise for people when you're scrolling. I think putting together something that's more eye-catching, ear-catching, something more like Diary of a CEO is my guess of one of the ones they're going to point out as one of the good ones. I think if we can make these these sizzle more, I think that it could go a long way. It's important to try to stand out. So here, let me put this in before I forget to share it with you all here on Clubhouse. And again, like I said, this will be in the show notes as well. It's a Zoom call, and I think it's free. DRD, is it free?
It is free.
Okay, so there you go. So go check that out today. Also, this one, not as much pressure. You have some time here. 2 weeks, as a matter of fact. YouTube is hosting a free online session called YouTube Channel Memberships for Podcasters. It's on Wednesday, June 17th from 5 to 6 p.m. BST. So that's 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay.
The session is aimed directly at podcasters who want to turn their YouTube audience into a more engaged, paying community through channel membership. YouTube says it'll cover how to set up and launch memberships, how to create stronger perks and pricing tiers, how to turn casual viewers into members, and it'll include a live Q&A with the expert panel. For podcasters leaning into video, this is worth paying attention to because YouTube keeps pushing deeper into podcasting clearly, and memberships could become one of the more practical ways creators build recurring revenue without sending their audience somewhere else. You can find this information on the YouTube event website, podcasts.withyoutube.com. And finally, who's surprised? I'm curious if anybody else knows where I'm going with this last event to share with you. The Empowered Podcasting Conference returns I'm going to start saying August 20th through the 23rd, because technically we're kicking things off that Thursday evening in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we're also saying it this way now, the 20th, because we start bright and early on the 21st. So I want to make sure that you all are there for every moment. This event is bringing together podcasters, video creators, content creators, entrepreneurs, creative professionals for a community-first event built around connection, collaboration, and practical growth. The event is expected to feature at least 150 plus attendees, 25 plus speakers. We've got several panels, interactive workshops, and hands-on learning with the Content Creators Accountant serving as the title sponsor. That's Ralph Estep. Creators can learn more at empoweredpodcasting.com and grab tickets through the site's Get Tickets button. So go there, empoweredpodcasting.com. Get your tickets before July because prices are going to go up once again in July. So get your best price right now at empoweredpodcasting.com. Ralph, will you hit your jingle? It's yours. Content Creators Business Bite. Oh, Ralph.
Did that not play? Let me try it again.
Play.
Quick tip, smart move. Yeah! Content Creators Business Bite!
Today's Content Creators Business Bite is brought to you by the title sponsor of Empowered Podcasting, Ralph Estep of ContentCreatorsAccountant.com. Ralph is a licensed accountant with over 30 years of experience helping creators navigate taxes, bookkeeping, and the money side of their business with more clarity and a whole lot less stress. Ralph is also my accountant, and I'm happy to recommend him to you. You can learn more at ContentCreatorsAccountant.com. And with that, Ralph, what are we diving into today?
We're going to talk about cameras today. There was an article called Stop Buying Cameras for Problems You Don't Have. And if you spend enough time watching camera reviews, you'll start believing you need a full-frame 7K cinema-ready setup just to film a podcast clip, maybe a YouTube short, vlog, or a talking head video. But a recent Canon Rumors piece raises a better question. And that question is, how much camera do creators actually need? And the answer is this: it's probably less than you think. That matters because this is not just a tech question, it's actually a business question. A creator looking at Canon's current lineup could spend around $650 to $900 on a creator-focused camera like the EOS R50V or the PowerShot V1, or even listen to this, to a higher end body like the EOS R6V. That one spends $24.99, or here, the EOS R6 Mark III, $27.99. That's a gap of $1,600 of more than $2,100. Now, that doesn't even include the lenses or batteries, storage, lights, microphones, tripods, or editing tools. And here's the uncomfortable truth for a lot of creators. The camera isn't the bottleneck. The bottleneck is usually bad audio, poor lighting, weak scripting, inconsistent posting, messy thumbnails, or content that doesn't clearly serve an audience. So the smarter creator budget is not what is the best camera I can afford, it's what is the least camera that solves my production problem. If you film mostly vertical clips or product demos, live streams, course content, or talking head videos, you might not need the expensive body. You need a reliable camera, a good mic, a clean light, and a repeatable workflow. That's where the savings really become real. Instead of overspending by $1,500 or maybe $2,000 on an unused camera features, a creator could redirect that money into things that actually move the creator business. Better sound, better lighting, a teleprompter, editing help, paid distribution, maybe a thumbnail designer, or even a few months of software and production support. Here's the business lesson. Let me back up a step. Here's the business lesson. Gear should increase output, not delay it. A $2,799 camera that sits in a bag because your workflow is complicated is a worse investment than a $700 camera that keeps you published 3 times a week. So before you upgrade, creators should ask 3 questions. Here's question number 1. What content do I actually make every week? Question number 2 is, what is currently making that content harder to produce? And finally, question number 3, will this camera fix that problem, or am I just buying confidence? Because in content creation, the best camera is not always the most powerful one. It's the one that keeps you publishing. So here's my go away moment. Don't buy the camera your ego wants. Buy the camera your content business needs. And that's today's business bite.
Thank you, Ralph. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm on the go right now. I didn't travel with my Elgato teleprompter that has the Elgato Facecam Pro camera built into it. Too much to travel with. And man, if you could see my car loaded up, I would be completely embarrassed for any of you to see how much stuff we have been traveling with. But my point is, I didn't feel like bringing a big camera and a big setup, right? I am using the back of my iPhone 17 Pro right now, and it looks super crisp, super clear, high quality. In fact, some people tell me they like how this camera looks better when I'm doing this show versus the Elgato camera. Right. So sometimes we don't even need to invest any money into a camera. We may have a camera that works just as well on the back of our phone. I will say that you got to the pro, if you're using an iPhone, the pro models are going to give you the much better camera. So that's something to consider, and that's a reason why I invest a little bit more into my phone, is because I do use this camera a lot for creating content. So I felt justified in spending a little more on a phone because it's serving as more than just a phone for me.
I think that's a very good point, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, hit the music for news. Thank you. All right. Moving with DR, and we've got a few news bites. These are stories that we may feel like we might not dig deep into, but still very important for us to chat a little bit about. So
Yeah.
take it away, DR.
Yeah. Okay. So YouTube is giving podcast listeners that are on their premium tier a more podcast app style experience, which is another sign that YouTube wants podcast consumption to feel less like watch this video and more like take this show with you. The new features include on the go mode, which adds easier listening controls like skip, forward, and back while videos play in the background. Audio speed, which intelligently adjusts playback speed during slower speech or denser sections. God, this is like really interesting. Okay, so premium users can now ask for podcast recommendations based on genre, mood, or shows that they already love. YouTube also dropped a spicy data point in April 2026, just a couple months ago. YouTube premium users include trials, watched over 800 million hours of podcasts. Big number? Absolutely. Fully usable number? Not quite. Because YouTube hasn't shared a recent premium subscriber count, and the last public figure was 125 million premium and music subscribers, including trials, back in March of 2025. Now, I received an email. I don't know. I guess I thought it was spam or something that said, hey, congratulations, you've won a premium trial. And I didn't do anything with it because I thought it was spam. I thought it was
Mm.
like a scam thing. But I'm telling you, I am starting to build up more and more podcasts that I'm actually partaking in on
Mm.
YouTube. And those freaking commercials, man, I'm telling you, I'm getting so angry
I'll say it every time
that
we talk about it. It's a worthwhile investment if you can
I
afford it.
think I'm really, really close to it. I think I'm gonna take the plunge.
You spend your money or you spend your time, DR. Just remember that.
Yeah,
That's true. Good
true.
point. And it wastes a lot of time. Again, I know I've shared this before, but traveling this week, my wife kind of runs the content while we are driving, right? She's the one driving with the phone and putting on the different podcasts. And we were watching, or I was listening to a lot of podcasts on YouTube. And man, those commercials just drive me nuts. It's worse to me than TV commercials, because at least you kind of get a little bit of a cue as to when those commercials are coming. Whereas on
Yeah.
YouTube, it's just startling. It just
Yeah.
interrupts right in the middle. It's annoying
Yeah.
AF. Yeah.
Agreed.
Cool. All right.
I'm
Let's
I'm
keep
close.
things moving. And by the way, I just have to call out real quick. Junaid is here in the audience as he normally is, and sometimes on stage with us. And I was supposed to try to meet with him yesterday. We were going to go do lunch, talk a little bit about empowered podcasting, because he's our audio video guy. And I had to postpone it. I just was trying to get out of the house and had a lot of work to do before I left. So I had to postpone it. So please forgive me Junaid for that, and more to come. I'll be back on the other side of volunteering next week, so maybe we can do it the following week after that. Moving on to some news, Supporting Cast says it's now the first podcast subscription platform to deliver gated, subscriber-only video, specifically on Spotify. And they're using Spotify's distribution API. That means listeners who connect with their Spotify account to a Supporting Cast powered subscription, again, Supporting Cast is the name of the company, they can now watch exclusive video episodes directly inside Spotify, right along the audio and video shows they already consume. The first launch partners include Libero and Legacy with Goalhanger, Jim Harold's Campfire, and Betches Media, that is Betches, expected to follow later in quarter two. For podcasters and publishers, the big deal is workflow and monetization. One subscription can now unlock both premium audio and video inside Spotify without sending paying fans to a separate website, paid YouTube channel, or private app. Yeah. DR, you want to take that?
So I have a story here for podcasting is not dying, but lazy podcasting may be on notice. So in a conference talk titled Is Podcasting Cooked? With Justin Jackson of Transistor and Jeremy Inns of Podcasting Marketing Academy, tackled two of the biggest anxieties in podcasting right now, and that would be video and AI. Their take? Video is not replacing audio. It is changing listeners' behavior. Many podcast fans now move between audio and video depending on where they are and what they're doing. YouTube may be a major podcast platform, but that does not mean audio-only shows are dead. It means creators need to understand where their audience wants to consume the show. The bigger warning came around AI. Jackson and Inns argued that AI may not hurt podcasting by flooding the market with fake shows. Instead, it may make generic information podcasts easier to skip. If a listener can get the useful part of an episode from an AI summary in 30 seconds, the full episode needs to offer more. Their advice to creators is simple. Stop making shows that sound like searchable blog posts with microphones. The strongest podcasts will be built around personality, perspective, connection, experience, and ideas that cannot be reduced to a quick summary. So no, podcasting is not cooked, but forgettable podcasting, that may be already in the pan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting story. All right. And I think the next two stories, which we think here that these are going to be the ones that really create a lot of conversation. I think these both fit fairly well with this last story that you shared, DR. So this first one, the headline reads, Video podcasting's gold rush may be heading for a reset. And this comes from longtime podcaster, creator, Elsie Escobar. And Elsie, an influential voice in this space. And this was actually brought to me when I was on Dave Jackson's show this past Saturday, or at least I think it was brought up. I think actually maybe Ralph brought it to the chat on Saturday when he was watching along that particular episode. So Elsie argues that the current video podcasting boom may be following the same hype cycle pattern podcasting has seen before. Big attention, big money, big expectations, and then a correction. Her larger points that podcasting's long-term strength may still come from consistency, intimacy, community, and sustainable creator habits rather than chasing whatever format the industry is pushing hardest. So I'm going to share some of the key points that she made in this blog. And then let's talk about it, because I know people have thoughts and opinions here. Elsie traces podcasting's major growth waves from the serial era in 2014 to the pandemic creator boom to the current push toward video podcasting. She says podcasting has repeatedly gone through moments where outside attention and investment creates big expectations, but the actual work of making a show remains difficult and time consuming. The article suggests that video is being treated by some companies as a solution for podcast growth, largely because video may attract bigger advertising and platform opportunities. Escobar questions whether large-scale video investments will pay off for most creators, especially when many indie podcasters don't have the time, the team, or the budget, or even desire to produce video at a high level. A key theme is sustainability. The article encourages creators to build around the audience they already have rather than assuming constant year-over-year audience growth. Look, I think that one I can get on board with, especially just because that's been our way here at the Podcasting Morning Show. We do, whether it's good or bad, that's maybe a discussion we can have, but we focus more on growing the community among the people that are here. We don't necessarily do a big push to bring in new podcasters other than word of mouth, etc. Let's see here. Sustainability, did I say this already, is a key theme. The article encourages creators to build around the audience they already have rather than assuming, constant year-over-year growth. Escobar predicts that within 5 years, some of the businesses and workflows built mainly around the video podcasting boom may shrink or become standard production tools instead of growth engines. The article also argues that audio versus video debate may eventually fade, with creators choosing the formats they can maintain and audiences following the content they care about. I'm very curious to hear what you all think about that too. For indie creators, the practical takeaway is to understand where revenue comes from, what product or service the podcast supports, and how to build income streams that don't rely entirely on one platform or format. So what do we think? Do we agree that video podcasting may be headed for a correction? Or do we think that video podcasting is still just getting started? I want to see now, look, I'm using Club Deck because I'm remote. So if people are flashing their emojis, I don't see them as well as
Mark, can I jump in there real quick? Because, man, I got in all kinds of hot water on Saturday on Ask the Podcast Coach. I actually lost a friend because of some of the things I said in the chat, believe it or not. Yeah, he was just taken back by my position. And I've actually wrote a blog post about this and posted it alongside of Elsie's article because I don't believe video is going away. I think video is here to stay, but not necessarily in the oversized studio heavy that everyone needs to be a media company thing. I just think that the mistake is confusing video as a tool with video as a business model, because I think video can be incredibly powerful for discoverability. And that's the part I think we're missing. And the takeaway I had from this article is Elsie is, this is Ralph's opinion, that she was basically saying, just go back and do the audio only. And I got to be honest with you, I don't think if I'm a new person coming into the content area, that's wise advice. And the reason I say it, I'm not saying you have to do full-on video shows, but the truth of the matter is social media clips and all those sort of things, video is driving that. And if you want to bring discoverability to your content, I think you've got to have that idea to do video. Again, that's not a popular opinion, but that's Ralph's opinion.
I think, Ralph, so if you're saying that you're not suggesting that everybody's going to eventually move to full-length episodes via video. So with that in mind, like, I can't disagree with you. I mean, I think that, to be honest, it actually changes the conversation, because where a lot of us are talking about how we're like in a video boom right now. But using your example, we've had that kind of video in podcasting forever. Like back in 2014, when the Serial podcast was going on, I was part of a different podcast, not Serial, but I was a part of a different podcast that had hundreds of thousands of listeners over the course of a year. And they were always doing video. They were streaming live video. They were using video to promote, using clips and that kind of thing. Video's been around for a very long time, and we've always been using it in some way here in the podcasting world too. So I think the part of the problem with this article is I think that a lot of us just assume that and maybe she's just talking about long form video content. And so I want to.
And I actually think that we are going to get to a point where it's going to be mandatory for people to stay involved in that. So I will take that stronger position, Mark, because I think that's where we're going to land. And I think the consumer is going to be able to make the decision. Do I want to listen? Do I want to watch? And the reason I say that, because it gives people a chance to see your face, read your body language, and build that familiarity faster than what audio does. But again, the economics still have to work.
Fair enough. Let's hear from some of our community around this. Dan Schultz wants to join in. Go for it, Dan.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Oh, I'm hearing an echo. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine, and we don't hear an echo.
Okay. So here's the thing that everyone should remember, that even us really cool, awesome, hardworking podcasters, we're lazy. People are lazy, and they're going to have to figure out, is the juice going to be worth the squeeze? Because I think I said earlier, when I'm editing one of our podcasts, I just always edit the video along with it, but I am not under any great, dream that what I'm doing is even close to TV quality. I am doing the bare minimum. When I talk, I'm on camera. When my co-host talks, she's on camera. We have a few graphics every once in a while. We maybe switch up camera shots, but it's a lot of work to do that. And I think people doing video a lot of people get into the new thing. A lot of these people, that podcasters, Ralph, I think you're a really good example. I think a lot of times you jump in and you're like, this is the best practices, or this is what you have to do to grow fast. I want to be part of everything. Well, you probably maybe wouldn't do video if it kept getting harder and harder to actually stand out. Like, what if doing the bare minimum isn't enough and you have to start, spending money on workflows or equipment and all sorts of stuff. And then pretty soon you realize, and I'm not just saying you, Ralph, but I mean, all of us, we got into doing a podcast about a specific, for a specific reason. Maybe we had a message we wanted to share or whatever. The second the work itself turns into more like, well, wait a minute, this isn't what I want to do. I want to talk about blah, 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 blah. I don't want to get into being a full-fledged TV producer. I don't really care all that much about video. I care more about serving my audience the message that I wanted to serve them in the beginning. So as video will always be around because there's going to be people who like video, and YouTube is, a great discoverability platform. But it's not going anywhere, but it's not probably going to be as big as everyone thinks. It'll always be a part of something.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. And I saw that John was agreeing with some of what you were saying in the sense of, there's an additional cost here. And does video bring any additional benefit to the content? He said, seeing my pumpkin head doesn't add to my content.
100%, John. No one needs to see that.
But let me jump in there, because I think it actually does. And I think there is a part that we're overlooking here, and that is being able to see somebody helps build that trust faster.
That's
and
fair.
I just think that we can't overlook that. And that's all I'm saying is I just think that we need to accept that life has changed. And I truly believe we are in an age where people are expecting to see things. Look at TikTok, look at Reels. They are seeing things. They're not just hearing a voice. Again, I could be the lone guy out in the prairie thinking this, and I also don't think you have to overcomplicate it. I think what I've seen in my own life is the videos that I shoot out walking around the farm actually get more views than the views I get in my studio that I spent thousands of dollars to create. So I think we can overthink this too.
Yeah, fair. Let me keep things going and check in with BC Babbles, who I owe an apology to, because he was waiting to join us for about 10 minutes into the show before I realized he was trying to get onto the Riverside platform with us. So Please forgive me, BC. What do you want to add to all this?
14, but it's okay. One sec, sorry.
Major echoing going on.
I'll do the Clubhouse version or the Club Deck version then. So what I'm still kind of stuck on, if I heard it correctly, the previous article talked about, and to Ralph's point about discoverability, if we're supposed to rework how we're naming and describing each bit of content, what's the new technique going to be? Because we previously discussed on the show how we have to make sure that titles, subtitles are some form of common query inputs, and then descriptions have to make sure we answer some kind of question or provide some kind of solution. So what would the new approachable tactic be if we're supposed to stop doing that? Did I hear that correctly for the last article?
Yeah, well, I guess what were we doing? Like, can you give me examples of what was being done that we're getting rid of? Like, I'm just I'm a little confused by your question.
Yeah, so I think one of the final points with the last article was about stop building your show or your content to be this super searchable thing. But previously we discussed how titles, subtitles have to be some remnants of a searchable query. The descriptions have to be providing a solution or answering a question. But if the article is saying that we have to stop doing that, then what's the new pivot approach? How do we then compensate for this new era of what is discoverable?
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to stand firm that I actually don't think changing. Yeah, I do think titles and descriptions are important for searchability, discoverability, etc. So I personally have no intention of changing that strategy, regardless of what we're being told. Yeah, at least for now. I mean, that could change over time for sure. Junaid, I think you wanted to chime in. Go for it. Junaid?
Yeah, I'm just switching contexts. So I always want to look at who's publishing the article. What's the game plan behind it, right? Like, do they have a chicken in the fight? So to say.
So yeah, I mean, Elsie, I think she certainly, how did you put it? Has a chicken in the fight. I think she certainly does. I mean, like I said, she's been in this game for so many years, and she's one of those people that really I see as one that really cares about the community in the podcasting space and really nurtures the community. So yeah, I think the intentions are good as far as who it's coming from, for sure. Anyone else want to chime in?
Yeah, Mark, for just a second.
Okay, go ahead, John.
So knowing Elsie and Rob is all 100% in audio only. And then Elsie wasn't audio only until she started doing video. And now she likes doing video. Here's my thing. Everybody should just do what they want. Ralph wants to do video. I think it's fantastic. I live stream twice a week, but I live stream the recording of my audio podcast. I believe my podcast is an audio first podcast. So I just think I don't know why we're fighting. I don't know why we're arguing. Everybody should just do their own thing.
I agree. I guess the argument is because if we're trying to maximize our reach, maximize our growth, that's why these conversations are happening. And to be fair, John, I kind of feel like, and the next story I'm going to probably feel the same way. Does this even apply to this section of the world of podcasting? In other words, the indie DIY podcasters. Does this stuff even really apply? Because a lot of the information generally, now not maybe Elsie, but generally speaking, it comes from the big companies, the corporate out there, right, that are shoving the idea of video down our throats. But maybe we think they're shoving it down our throats, but maybe it's not even really geared toward us. Maybe the indie DIY space has different rules to apply.
I think people wanted it. I think they want to compete with YouTube and Spotify with the video. So Apple said, okay, we'll use HLS and we'll do this. It's a cost to, all of the hosting providers. So they have to pass the cost on to us. And then they also have to do a lot of work in the back end to make it, their developers have to do a lot of work. So it's a cost to them too. I just don't think, I think the problem we have is people are trying to take away our term podcasting. They want to change it to content creator or something like that. And we were holding on to podcasting, even though it's a stupid word. I think that's more the problem is everybody's like, hey, you can't change my podcasting term to content creation. You're not going to do that. Listen, I've been upset about people as far as big companies coming into podcasting since 2012. And I said back then, if, go get your own sandbox. You guys laughed at us when we started this, and now here you all are. So I'm a little protective.
I hear you, John. Thank you. Appreciate that. Rez, I'll come to you in just a second. There was some Tide I saw wanted to chime in. Tide, go for it. Good morning.
Good morning. Great conversation. I was just going to say that a lot of times when we're doing work, it's people think that the actions themselves are what's going to propel them to success because that's what we've been conditioned to believe. Act, do, but really it's about being. It's about the attitude. It's the attitude that you have. So if you see someone walking down the street, for example, and you see that they have a lot of swagger, a lot of coolness, they're relaxed, they have a good appearance, they come across as very confident and they exude that, then you automatically make certain assumptions, positive assumptions typically, about that individual and what they're doing with their life. So if they say, oh, I do podcasting, I do this, I do that, then you automatically want to go and listen to it because you know that they're confident in what they do. They are relaxed. But when you see someone who is not confident, is not relaxed, they're being so hasty, they're constantly second guessing themselves, audio, video, audio, video, audio, video. Does that make anybody in here want to go listen to somebody's podcast? No, it doesn't. So when you have your attitude right, your mental faculties in line and you're confident and positive with what you are doing and you feel good and you're happy about it, doesn't matter whether you do audio only or video only or a mix of the two. It's about the projection that you're putting out there, and people will gravitate towards that because you're not constantly vying for their attention and then getting on the hamster wheel and trying to compete for downloads and views and listeners and all of that. You're not doing any of that because you're in your own space. You know that you're creating what you want, and when you're doing that from the right emotional and mental lens, then everything is going to start to come together. But we live in such a frenetic, fragmented world where people are trying to chase the carrot on the stick, so to speak, and they never really find out what works for them because they don't understand that it's your attitude that builds the success of your podcast, not the specific actions themselves. Do you need some actions? Yes, obviously, because you're not going to go anywhere if you just sit in a car and you say, okay, I'm going to be confident that this car is going to move to the grocery store. No, you obviously have to put your turn your key, turn the engine on, put the foot on the pedal and go. You have to do some actions, of course. But if you're confident in what you're doing, then your podcast is going to come across that way. It's going to resonate with people. And that's the main thing that I think people just don't get talked about enough. Everybody is just pushed into these certain actions. And it's really the thoughts that are the fuel that make the engine go.
I'm with you there, Tide. I think that that's something that audiences can pick up on consciously and subconsciously. I think when you have a confident podcaster, there's something attractive about that. And I mean, or look at it at the other side, from the other perspective, right? If you've got this podcaster who doesn't display confidence and they are kind of wishy-washy about it and that confidence just doesn't come through. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm more likely to go press play on the podcast from the confident one than the one who's very unsure of themselves on the mic. So yeah, I'm with you there. Rez, I'm going to come to you, and then I'm just going to let everyone know we got to move on to the next story here in a second. Before I come to you, Rez, just want to give Ralph a moment to share about tomorrow's show where we've got another guest joining us.
Yes, thank you, Mark. Tomorrow we are going to have Jeff C. here. Jeff's going to talk about AI and animation and ways to use that for your content to really kick it up a notch. He does some really cool stuff with songs and AI animation. So make sure you join us tomorrow for Jeff C.
Awesome. And that's not the letter C.
It's
That's how you,
SIEH.
yes, there you go. Thank you, Ralph. Rez, what did you want to add to this conversation about Elsie's blog?
Yeah. Hey, Mark. Hey, everybody. I forgot what the gesture was for kind of.
That's okay.
Yeah. Anyways. So I'm shocked by the viewpoint that like you should do audio only versus video. Like that's just my opinion. Is obviously video is the best form of your distribution strategy. So I don't think the answer isn't video versus audio. I think record the video, publish the full audio, and definitely cut the best moments into clips, because those clips, believe it or not, like personally, I don't have the attention span to listen to the whole thing. So those clips are everything in my opinion, and it's through video that we can distribute those clips. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, and I think that's what Ralph agrees with as well. I think Ralph is not suggesting we should all move to video for 100%, but we should be using it as part of our strategy. So yeah, I think he's with you there. And so am I, for that matter, Rez. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. That is definitely my position. We got to let DR say something, Mark. She's been waving like she's lost her mind.
DR.
Okay. So whenever we get in these deep conversations that go on for a little bit, all about video, in my head, I am seeing our listeners who are brand spanking new to podcasting, maybe haven't even pushed record yet and are listening to us to get up enough nerve to do it. And I want to remind you that, I have two mentors that are audio only, and they both have reached six figures. So it can be done. It can be done. And I'm just worried about those new podcasters that are looking in their wallet going, oh my God, why should I even start? So it's audio is viable. I mean,
and I think you're right. And I think a lot of us just assume that, okay, well, we have to have video content on our social media that drives people to the show. And some people agree with that, some people don't. But my point is, why do we think that it only video? Like, we've seen people on social media create accounts with very little to no video, right? Whether it's with carousel posts, static images, using their stories on Instagram and TikTok, using all the different elements, but not necessarily using video of their podcast to build their authority, build their presence, to get people to come find their show, right? So I think there are other ways we can use it. We don't have to.
My client and I were starting to experiment with just a talking head. So if she does a show about, a business coaching show, she just looks into the camera and says, listen, I want people to take a listen to this episode this week. We talked to so-and-so all about so-and-so. And she surprised me with some of her answers. It's just a talking head just into the camera. It doesn't necessarily even have to be a clip from the show itself. Just my client talking into the lens, and distribute that as a promo.
Yes, but DR, you just went against yourself, because that's a video.
It's a video, but it's not. It doesn't. It just all requires just a phone.
But that's what I was saying, phone. DR, is I think that's the part that people are missing. It doesn't have to be this slicked out commercial grade TV premise thing. It can be something as simple as that. But I think we've got to acknowledge that is more discoverable than just some audio file.
Yes, I would agree with that. I mean, for the past several years, I've been saying if anybody's still doing audiograms, I think they might need to think about a new approach, because I just don't think that the audio only clips on social media, I just don't think that those work well for new podcasters or growing podcasts that are still trying to find their community, build their community, etc. Okay, let's move on to the next story. Thank you, Ralph. Appreciate that. ER, I think this one is yours, story number 6.
Okay. So, podcasting forms a committee to define itself. This is something that Dave Jackson and Mark discussed this past Saturday on Dave's show. There's a new industry task force trying to clean up podcast measurement, define what counts as a podcast, and figure out how audio, video, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and ad data should all be compared. Sounds helpful? Maybe. Okay. But for indie and DIY podcasters, the real question is whether this helps creators or mostly helps advertisers and major platforms. Now, here are some of the key points. The group is called AMP, AMP, and it stands for Alliance for Measurement in Podcasting. And
Let
it's
me cut you off
focused.
real quick. Hold your space. Somebody's unmuted. Unmuted. So if everyone can please mute. It might be on Clubhouse. I don't know if it's you, Ralph. I think you might be unmuted. No?
Sid?
Oh, crap, it is me.
No, and I have to apologize to Sid because I knew he wanted to comment on the last story based on me sharing it with everyone yesterday. And then I reached out to him this morning in a private chat and said, do you want to comment? He did say yes, but I missed it. So please forgive me, Sid.
All good, buddy. All good, buddy.
DR, please continue.
Okay, so again, it's called AMP, AMP, and it stands for the Alliance for Measurement in Podcasting, and it's focused on creating clearer standards for podcast measurement and advertising. Some of the companies involved include Spotify, SiriusXM, Libsyn, BetterHelp, DraftKings, UTA, Flight Story, Podscribe, and Oxford Road. The group says inconsistent measurement may be keeping major ad dollars out of podcasting, possibly as much as $1 billion. I said billion with a B.
Is everyone thinking of Dr. Evil right now? Okay, go ahead.
$1 billion. Dave Jackson's concern, which came up when you and he talked about this on Saturday, is that this could turn into advertisers trying to reshape podcasting around what sponsors want.
Mm-hmm.
And
my concern, you want me to share? Yeah. My concern is that the standards built for huge shows, platforms, and ad buyers may not actually serve indie and DIY podcasters. That was a little bit of what I was alluding to earlier.
Yeah. YouTube views, podcast downloads, Spotify plays, Apple streams, and RSS-based listening don't all measure the same thing. So trying to treat them all the same could get messy and could get messy fast. The big thing to watch is whether open podcasting, especially RSS, stays protected as platforms push for better tracking, cleaner attribution, and more control. Now, Mark, what is your takeaway on this?
I mean, just that indie podcasters, DIY podcasters should be paying attention to all this, but maybe don't feel like you have to panic. It probably affects the ad side of podcasting first. For most of us, audience trust and consistency, community, it all still matters more than industry measurement data, at least for many of us. I believe that. So my question is, and maybe Sid, you'll have some comments so that we can hear from you today, is do you trust major platforms and advertisers? Like I said, like like you said, some of these companies that have gotten together here, like BetterHelp and DraftKings, like, are these the right people to get together to help define the industry? Right? Like, how do we feel about that in general? Anyone have any thoughts? Ralph, I feel like
I
you
can jump in. Oh.
I will when. Go ahead. Go ahead, Sid. I got one when you're done.
So I listened to this article because they had a little link where you could play it, right?
Yeah.
And my first thought was, this is a money grab for big shows because this is all about CPM rates, and CPM rates don't work for small independent podcasts. They just don't.
Right.
And when you look, DraftKings is the number one ad buyer, according to that article, of podcast ads. So that's kind of strange that they're part of this. However, I do agree that there should be some standardization of measurement of podcasts, not just ad measurement. This was focused on ad measurement. And analytics and podcasting really need improvement and standardization across multiple platforms so that we can have a better understanding of the reach and impact of our show. That's definitely something that's needed, but we're not included in this. And when you look at the industry, we outweigh them in the number of shows, and likely our audiences outweigh their single audience, right? And so to not include an important component like independent podcasters who don't benefit from CPM rates, I don't know that that's the right path to take, because then you're not hearing from the entire audience. You're not hearing from the entire group of podcasters because we're being left out of this. So I think it's going to be interesting to follow this. But again, and I'll say this till the day I die, CPM rates do not work for us. And if you're trying to go after advertising dollars with being battle, because you're never going to make any real money with your podcast.
So Sid, thank you for that. Who do you think should be a part of that committee, to speak to the independent podcasters? Like, do you have any companies or people in mind?
I mean, that's a great question, and I hadn't really thought about that. The first one that comes to my mind are the people that run, organizations like yours, Empowered Podcasting conferences, people that honestly serve the independent podcaster should have a voice in this. And there are a lot of groups that serve us as a group, as a community, right? But there's none of them that are involved in this. This is all big corporate stuff. And I mean, yeah, it's great they're talking to each other, but when we're not represented, it creates a problem. So anybody that represents the organization or represents a organization that serves independent podcasters some of them should have a seat at the table for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think it might have been Dave Jackson that had said on Saturday, like, one of the companies that he feels should be in there, which I agree, is a company like Buzzsprout. I mean, they are the largest independent podcasting platform out there. They have the most independent podcasters on that platform hosting their podcasts. So yeah, I think having a company like them would do a lot. And it's also, I find it odd, like, first of all, why did these people or companies meet in secret? What's the point of that? And who picked them? Right? Like, just what made them the ones to be the team? I find it curious.
Mark, can I comment on this real quick?
Yeah,
because
Can I comment on this?
yes, I'll let everyone comment, but we're way over time, so hold off. BC, did you have something, or is that a legacy hand up? I just wanted to make sure because I saw it up there for a minute.
Legacy likely, sorry.
No problem. Go ahead, Ralph.
Yeah, I want to comment on this because Adam Curry actually has the resolution to this. On Podcasting 2.0 last Friday, he made it, and it's clear what you can do. All you've got to do is let the hosting companies make some money based on this, and they will share their first-party data, and you will get all the information you possibly need. That really is the answer to the question. Because once the first party, the hosting companies, the people who like Sam Sethi as an example, all the people who have hosting companies have all this information, but they don't want to share it because they don't make any money from it. If the advertisers really want this information, and this is all about money, this is what this is all about at the end of the day, this is all about trying to measure so they can decide where the ad dollars go. I think Adam Curry is right on. Give them a fractional piece of that, and you will have more data than you can ever handle, and that will resolve the issue.
Thank you, Ralph. And Junaid, you wanted to add something.
Yeah, what I wanted to add was the reason DraftKings and the other big companies are in there is because they're one of the largest spenders of ad dollar. Like, I've seen DraftKings everywhere advertise.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're like, hey, how can we get more data back? So that's one of the reasons. The other thing I wanted to introduce was what's stopping us as indie podcasters to build a body of governance of what we like to track. Like, what's stopping us? So that's another thing that we can also think about. But this has been an awesome conversation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Janae, that reminds me. I remember you were part of that conversation on Dave Jackson's Saturday show, and I remember seeing you write in the chat, Mark, we should start something like this. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I would love to, and I don't want to drive myself completely bonkers at the same time, taking on way too many things. So I have to think about how that would work out. But yeah, great points, Janae. Great points, Ralph, and everybody. Sid, thank you all for sharing your 2 cents. Yeah, I think that we're mainly all on the same page here. I don't think that this particular committee is the one that's going to solve this whole problem of defining podcasting and the money side of it, et cetera. I think that it's going to take more than just that small group to define it and to really flesh this all out. So with that, remember, we are back tomorrow. We've got our interview tomorrow, and I feel awful. Ralph, I totally just, his name escaped me.
Jeff C. SIEH.
Yes.
And I put something out on all the socials with his information.
Yep. So come join us. Let's have an AI discussion, another hot topic around the world of podcasting and around the world in general. So let's talk about it tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern time. And you can find us at podcastingmorningshow.com/join us. If you want to catch the video, if you want to catch us on Clubhouse, wherever you want to catch us, that's the link to find us. So until tomorrow, make it a great day, everybody. Take care.